Salve Latin 1. Today, we are going to be living in the past. And just like I like reminiscing on old times from the 1990s, you too may enjoy speaking with Latin perfect and imperfect tense verbs. Right. So, here are some sentences. Theoretically. There it is. Quintus per hortum ambulat. Quintus walks through the garden. Quintus per hortum ambulabat. Quintus was walking through the garden. Quintus per hortum ambulavit. Quintus walked through the garden. When you look at these three Latin sentences here, what do you notice? What do you wonder? You may notice that they are slightly different in both Latin and in English. You will see this is indicative of a larger pattern that you will see over all sorts of verbs, especially all the ones that we learn about this chapter. This is by no means a comprehensive explanation of all the ways to say things that happened in the past in Latin, but it's a really good start. So we're going to just keep it incredibly basic for right now. In Latin, there is one tense, or one way, of saying things that are happening right now, and we call that the present tense, ambulat, ambulant. Things that are occurring right now. He walks, or he is walking. Ambulant, they walk, or they are walking, or they do walk. Then you have words like est and sunt, est meaning he is, sunt meaning they are. We've kind of worked within this framework, and then a little extra so far in Latin, saying things that are only happening right now. But if you really think about it, we don't use the present tense really most of the time. Usually, when we're talking about things that happened in the past. And so, accordingly, there are a lot of different ways to say things that happened in the past. There's technically three different tenses for the past tense. We're going to learn about the two most common for right now. And that would be the imperfect tense and the perfect tense. Now, in grammatical terms, imperfect and perfect refer to whether an action is complete or incomplete. An imperfect tense verb just shows an incomplete or a continuous action happening in the past, and a perfect tense verb shows a completed action in the past. But that's all very technical. What is important to know is that when a Latin verb ends with just a T, it's happening now, in the present, and the subject is probably he or she or it. So, for example, ambulat means he walks. In the past tense, like I said, there are the two different ways. We're going to start by talking about the imperfect tense, ambulabat. Instead of ambulat, you say ambulabat. You see an extra BA appear there between the final A and the T at the end of the word. And when you see those words, bot, or those endings, bot or bont, on the end of a verb, then you can tell it's an imperfect tense verb, meaning that it was happening, or they were happening. So in this case, ambulabat means he was walking. Ambulabant means they were walking. You could take these endings and put them on pretty much any verb, and it would just mean he, she, or it was blanking, or they were blanking. And that's imperfect tense. It's really very simple. There are a couple of irregular forms that do not have the BA in them, the most common of which being, of course, the imperfect tense of est, meaning he was, instead of est, he is. So erat means he was, and you will see this quite a lot. Erant is just the plural version, meaning they were. This is the imperfect tense of sunt, meaning they are. And it's really as simple as that. If you see BA toward the end of a word, it means was or were blanking. Okay. The perfect tense will end up being a little bit more complex. There are a couple more moving parts. But for this stage, you really only have to look for one thing, and that is a V. If you see a V appearing kind of where we look for a BA at the ending of ambulabat, if you will see in a word like ambulawit, you'll see the V there, and that tells us that it's perfect tense, meaning he walked. It happened. It's a complete action that happened in the past. He walked. He walked to the store. Well, he's done walking now. He's been doing other things. Well, he was walking to the store. Well, in the past, I know in the context of this story, he's in the middle of walking and something else is probably about to happen. Ambulawerunt is just the perfect tense third person plural form, ending with nt. You also see a couple extra letters, erunt. You hopefully are familiar with this from our time playing Clue, when you would have to say nekawit or nekawerunt, meaning he killed or they killed. You'll see down here the words fuit and fuerunt, but they're faded out. These are the perfect tenses of est, and sunt, respectively. But they don't show up in our text, and we're not going to worry about them right now. You'll see erat used much more often. Just keep in mind that fuit is just he has been or he was, where they have been or they were. And that's really the basis of it. If you're taking notes, I would suggest copying this page down, or at least taking a picture of it to refer back to later. If you just notice these patterns about the endings of verbs and just keep in mind the way that they're translated, then you'll get very far. One way that you can remember that imperfect tenses have BAs is just by, actually this really isn't helpful, I just say this, ba, the imperfect sheep. That was a really good sheep sound. There we go. Ba, the imperfect sheep. Boom. Nailed it. Now you know that ba means imperfect. Hopefully that helps you remember that it's was or were blanking, because that's really the important thing. V means blanked. I really don't know. I don't have any clever ways to remember these. If you come up with one, let me know. I'll give you denarii. All right, on the next page, you're going to see some practice. So, oops, here we go. Okay, so what I would like for you to do, there are 16, I'm sorry, and by 16 I mean 12, different verbs right here. You are going to identify the tense of the verb, whether it is present tense, imperfect tense, or perfect tense, and you can tell that by referring back here. And then you're going to try and translate it with its subject, whether it's he, she, or it did it, or they did it. I have over here the meanings of each of the roots. You'll notice that the endings are missing because the endings are going to change. Sometimes they'll be imperfect, like audiebat, meaning he was listening. Or sometimes it'll be wit, like vituperawit, he cursed, that's perfect tense. Or it could be like salutant, they greet, which is present tense. So the real important thing about the beginning of the word, it just tells you what it means. The ending tells you the tense and who's doing it. So take a second. Real ones are going to pause this video right now and try this on their own. Give it an honest shot. You're welcome to look back at the last page, but on the next page is the answer key. Posers are just going to let this video ride and go look at the answers and write them down. That's not really a good way to learn it, so don't do that. I'll give you 7 seconds until I skip to the next page. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. You are welcome to look at this. Anything that is was blanking will be imperfect tense. I did not write down the tenses here. Anything that is they blank, that is present tense. And anything that is they blanked is perfect tense. BA, imperfect. V, perfect. Neither present. And that's it for perfect tense verbs. You will see the practice quizzes in the planner linked after this. It's a good way to really get these down. I would suggest trying them right after watching this video to really help drill this into your head. If you have questions, message me. I hope this video was helpful. Walete.